Welcome back, everybody, to the That's Debatable podcast. Hope y'all are having a wonderful day so far. I'm your host, Josh. Before we get into the questions, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. My link is in the bio for my Instagram, guys, on my feed for my Facebook, guys. Turn post notifications on all three platforms so you know when I post on all of them. We got some stuff to get into today. My hair looks like a mess. Don't worry about it. I'm wearing an Arsenal jersey. But yeah, let's get straight into this today. Yeah, we got some football to talk about, a little bit of basketball as well, though. We had a game that's, some, people in a certain state, we're a bit happy and a bit sad. So we're going to get into that. But first question of the day, did Bill Belichick put the NFL on notice with the free agency moves, In a way, yeah. But we have to look at this. Bill Belichick is coming after Tom Brady. He's coming after Tom Brady, and for a specific reason, because I think partly why Tom Brady left is because on Bill Belichick. I've mentioned that before, and I'll say it again, because Bill Belichick had an opportunity to sit down with Tom Brady and be like, man, this is why I need you here. We'll do our best to surround you with the weapons that you need. And because, you're the GOAT, you're the greatest of all time, you're Tom Brady, we need to surround you with those weapons. So he didn't do that, though. He didn't sit down with Tom Brady and be like, okay, we can do this for you, we can do that. He didn't have that meeting whatsoever. He wanted to be selfish. Bill Belichick wanted to be selfish and wanted to run things his way and not, ask, his star quarterback, the best quarterback ever to live, what he wanted, right? So that's what, upset Tom Brady, because he wasn't getting the things that he wanted. He didn't have the weapons that he needed that he has in Tampa Bay now. So that is partly why Tom Brady left the New England Patriots. But now, obviously, the Bill Belichick had 8 players last season that, decided not to play because of COVID. But Tom Brady's gone. They had Cam Newton, who didn't have a good season. One, because, injury, COVID problems, all that stuff got in the way. They still managed to go 8-8. They still managed to go 7-9. So they did pretty decent. They had wins. It wasn't like they went completely win. Like they didn't go, lose every single game like the Jets or the Jaguars or something like that. They still did pretty decent. Obviously, didn't make the playoffs. But now we see Bill Belichick, the GM. We've been questioning him. I've been questioning him as a GM, right? And we have to look. Bill Belichick was questioning not Tom Brady, the quarterback, but Tom Brady, the person, right? So that's what, Bill Belichick was questioning him as a person, which I don't know. I don't see why you would. If we should be questioning anybody as a person, it should be Bill Belichick. And that's no disrespect, because we know Bill Belichick is the GOAT. We know he's the greatest coach of all time, and his resume proves that. 6 titles, all of that stuff, but with Tom Brady. But now with all these free agency moves he's making, signing the new tight end to a 4-year deal, all of this stuff, giving Cam Newton the weapons that he needs, because Cam Newton's never been an elite thrower of the football. We know that. So we think of that, Cam Newton needs those weapons, because we know he's a great athlete. We know he can run with the football, probably not as well as he used to be able to, but he can still, he can still play. He can still do things for you on the field. He's not a scrub. So I think when we look at Bill Belichick making these moves as a GM, it helps him as a coach, because you have better weapons now. Obviously, it's not completely complete, but you still have, better guys than you did before. You still have to improve that defense a little bit, those receivers, on the ends of the field and all of that stuff. So you got to improve all of that, and you got to surround him with more weapons, and that's what Bill Belichick is doing. He's made big moves. I think he'll continue to make more moves, and they're coming after Tom Brady. Bill Belichick is trying to prove that he can win without Tom Brady, and if he does, if Bill Belichick ends up somehow winning without Tom Brady, we can look at Bill Belichick and be like, there's no coach that is going to be on the level of this man. There's no coach. Maybe as a GM, yes, but if Bill Belichick manages to win it all without Tom Brady, and I don't think he will, because I think Tom Brady and the Bucs can go back to the Super Bowl and potentially win it again, and obviously the Chiefs are there as well on the other coast, but if he manages to pull it off with, a lesser team than the Chiefs, a lesser team than the Bucs, all of that stuff, I think that we can look at Bill Belichick. We can be like, there's nobody that's going to be on the level of this man. Nobody ever in the history of the National Football League. So we got to look at that. Who's better, Tatum or Mitchell? right now they're both playing phenomenal, but you got to see where their teams stand. Donovan Mitchell's team is on a roll right now. I got to go with Donovan Mitchell as of right now because he's just on a tear right now. The guy is doing everything for his team. If there was no Donovan Mitchell and Utah Jazz, they wouldn't be in the place they are right now. Jason Tatum's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. He's an absolute stud. We know what he can do on both sides of the ball. We know he's a great two-way player. But so is Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, I believe, is a D-Wade 2.0, like I've mentioned on numerous occasions. So I think when you look at where their two teams stand, you look at the Celtics. They got off to a slow start, even though they're getting back up there now. Tatum has still been playing phenomenal, and so has Donovan Mitchell. Though Donovan Mitchell, I've mentioned that the road to the NBA title is gonna run through the Utah Jazz this year, not the LA Lakers, and they're giving the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, all of these teams in the West a run for their money. So I gotta go with Donovan Mitchell in that conversation as of right now. What's the bigger key? Is it Brady's offense or the Bucs defense? If you guys don't know, they just signed a new defender there, Barrett. So just signed Barrett to their defense. So what's the bigger key? Believe it or not, it's the defense. It's a Tampa Bay Bucs defense, and I think that because we think back to the Super Bowl and how they pressured Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, I think more of that is on the offensive line because, you know, he didn't have much of an offensive line, of course, but Patrick Mahomes, that is. So we think of that offensive line, but we see the way that they pressured Patrick Mahomes. We see that, how they did it. And we saw, you know, Patrick Mahomes is phenomenal. He still was able to get passes off. You know, obviously he didn't make them because we know his guys didn't show up. We know Travis Kelce, who, you know, is an amazing, phenomenal person, you know, just as much as he is a player. We know Tyreek Hill is a phenomenal player as well. So we think of that, and I think that, you know, the Bucs defense is going to come in big, especially with this new signing. And I think that their defense is more important because of how they pressured Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. So we think of that, and I think that the Tampa Bay Bucs are going to be very dangerous, not only on offense, because we still, by the way, speaking of their offense, we don't know if Antonio Brown's coming back. If he's smart, he'll come back, but, you know, we've questioned Antonio Brown being smart numerous times, and, you know, for good reason. But if he's smart, he'll come back to the Tampa Bay Bucs. We're not sure if he will. We know Godwin's going to come back. We know all these guys are going to come back. So, you know, you still have Leonard Fournette, all of these guys coming back. Rob Gronkowski just re-signed as well. So, all these guys are coming back, and if Antonio Brown especially comes back, he's going to come back even better, I believe. I think he's going to get back up to that level as one of the best, if not the best receiver in the league, because we know he was that at one point in time. But a concussion, you know, that concussion he got was really serious, if you guys remember. So, we think of that, but their defense was phenomenal in the Super Bowl, and it's gotten even better. And I think it's gonna be even better, numbers wise, stats wise, analytics wise, whatever you want to say. It's gonna be better in all pages of the book, because this new signing is, you know, a bit bigger than people think, right? And obviously it's not a one-man job on defense in football, but, you know, it's still going to make a difference. So I think the Tampa Bay Bucs defense is going to come in bigger than Brady's offense. And, you know, Brady's offense is something special. So that's saying something, you know, especially with the weapons he has, like I just mentioned. But I think that their defense is going to come in big here. Did the Knicks get robbed by the refs? No, they didn't. They didn't get robbed by the Nets. It was a clear travel. And, you know, whether Kyrie touched it or not, he didn't release the ball. He held on to the ball. So that's the thing. I don't know where people are getting these facts from, but Julius Randle held on to the ball. And he didn't let go. He didn't shoot. He didn't nothing. He didn't try and pass it out or anything. He held on to the ball. It didn't fall out of his hands. So he held on to the ball. He went up with it and came down with it. So I don't know where this is coming from, but it was a clear travel. You know, he clearly traveled with the ball, and no, the Knicks did not get robbed. But I will say this, though. I did not expect this game to go this way. I did not expect this game to be close. I watched this game, the highlights at least, and the Knicks looked pretty good. even though they lost by, I believe, 4 points. I believe they lost by, I believe the Randall 3 would have tied it, and then they called for a rightful travel call because it was a travel. But the way the Knicks looked last night, I haven't seen them look that way in a very long time. I haven't seen them look that way. So even though they lost, I'm impressed with the New York Knicks. I've been impressed with them so far throughout the season. I needed to see it to believe it. I needed to see more. I knew they were winning to start off the season, but I said I needed to see more. And I've been seeing that from the New York Knicks. They gave the Nets a run for their money last night. Even though they didn't have KD last night, they still gave the Nets a run for the money. So the Knicks are looking pretty decent right now. I'm not saying that they're going to win the championship. I'm just saying that they can contend possibly for a playoff game. I think they're in playoff contention right now. So the Knicks are looking pretty decent right now. And they gave the Nets a run for their money. But no, to answer the question, it was a travel. The Knicks did not get robbed. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Thoughts on Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania? This makes me mad. This honestly makes me mad because I didn't want this to happen. I mentioned it before. I don't want WrestleMania 37 to, let alone being the same logo that we just had. And I know they wanted to do the pirate theme, and then COVID happened. They had to do it in the Performance Center. But, and that's fine. But I didn't want WrestleMania 37 to turn into a series of rematches because Lashley versus McIntyre, we've seen at Backlash, right? And I get it. You could say, I was going back and forth with this guy in the comment section, and he was like, oh, Lashley is, a different character now. That's when he was going with through the whole Lana thing. I get that. But to me, it's still Lashley, and it's still McIntyre. It's still Lashley versus McIntyre. My personal perspective. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Like it's still these two. Like it's not like he went through a whole transformation. Like Lashley was skinny before, and now he's a completely different character, and he's buff. It's still Bobby Lashley, and it's still Drew McIntyre. He's been the same character for over a year now. So it's still the same matchup. Charlotte Flair defeated Asuka at WrestleMania 34 already, so I don't want to see that. I hope they change that up somehow. Maybe add Shayna Baszler to the mix, a triple threat match, because I know Shayna Baszler and Asuka are having this beef right now. Or maybe they'll just do Baszler versus Asuka at Mania, and I don't know what they'll do with Charlotte Flair. But that's something I'd like to see because we haven't really seen that. I know we saw it on Raw, but as a WrestleMania match, I honestly wouldn't mind that, to be honest. And I think Baszler is well deserving of a title shot anyway. Orton versus Bray Wyatt or Orton versus The Fiend. Let me get this straight. Bray Wyatt and The Fiend are the same person. I hope you guys know that. Bray Wyatt and The Fiend are the same person. I get it. They have, it's Bray Wyatt's alter ego, all of that stuff. He acts a little bit different, but it's the same thing with Demon Balor and Finn Balor, right? It's the same concept and everything. So it's still Bray Wyatt, in my opinion, and they've wrestled on numerous occasions. We've seen it over the years. We've seen it for the past few months, and we saw it at TLC, right? If you can, you can say, oh, it wasn't really a match or anything. It was a match. A match is a match. And adding Firefly Funhouse to it doesn't make it any better. In fact, it makes it worse, to be honest, if you're going to do that match. But I really hope they don't go down that road with the series of rematches. Like the New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos. I like that. That's a pretty good match because we haven't seen that before. WrestleMania is supposed to be the time of, first times for everything. And if you are going to do a rematch like how they did the Rock versus Cena rematch at WrestleMania 29 of, the rematch from WrestleMania 28, something like that is fine. But because those are two superstars that, weren't really in WWE full time, right? So if it was something like that, okay. Like if you were to do a Rock versus Stone Cold rematch at WrestleMania 37, that would be the headline. That would be insane, right? But not something that we've seen like just recently. I know WrestleMania 34 wasn't recent, and I'm talking about Asuka versus Charlotte Flair, but not something that we could see on Monday Night Raw, right? You see what I'm going here? So I don't like how WrestleMania is going, and one rematch is fine. Like if you had one rematch, one big rematch, and you made it a spectacular match, fine. But to have consistent rematches is just, to be honest, boring for me. And I wasn't a fan of WrestleMania 36. And the way that they're going about this is a series of rematches, and it's going to take a lot to impress me for WrestleMania 37. So, don't be surprised if I'm not, completely, enthused by, WrestleMania 37, because it's looking like it's going to be a ton of rematches that we've seen on numerous occasions. And, just matches I don't want to see anymore, because we've seen it on numerous occasions. WrestleMania is the grandest stage of them all. It's, the biggest show of the year, where people who don't watch WWE watch WWE, right? And I get that, like, people who don't watch WWE, it's going to be good to them. But me, I cover WWE every single week. I see what goes on, and I see the storylines, and to me, it's just boring to me. I don't want to see these rematches again, to be honest. And if they were to add, I'll say this though about Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. If they add Sheamus to the mix, that might be okay. I think I'll be okay with that if they add Sheamus, because they seem to be going along those lines. I'd be okay with that. For the Universal Championship match, I'm good with what's going on with right now, because they have Edge, Roman, and Bryan in the mix, and I think they're gonna end up throwing Jey Uso in the mix. It would be cool if they did, a triple threat match for the, WWE title, and then a fatal 4-way for the Universal title, right? So obviously Edge versus Roman is fine. Edge versus Roman is a dream match. And I would kind of low-key rather see them one-on-one than a whole fatal 4-way match, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at a fatal 4-way match, because those are 4 competitors we haven't seen go up against each other. Obviously, we're seeing Edge and Jey Uso face this Friday on SmackDown. But, yeah, I think, I don't want WrestleMania to be turned into a series of rematches, so I'm not a fan of this Lashley versus McIntyre WrestleMania 37. I hope they at least add Sheamus into the mix or something. Or something along those lines, because I don't want to see Lashley versus McIntyre one-on-one again. And I know it was just about a year ago, but I just don't want to see that. Have the Kansas City Chiefs built a dynasty? And I mean like a New England Patriots dynasty. What damn dynasty? What dynasty? To me, this is not a dynasty. A dynasty, like I just said, is the New England Patriots, because they have won. And like I mentioned, if Bill Belichick manages to win without Tom Brady, which I don't see happening, and a lot of us don't, that's a dynasty, right? And the New England Patriots are already a dynasty, because they have the 6 rings with Tom Brady, with Bill Belichick, all of that stuff. As far as I'm concerned, the Tampa Bay Bucs are the Super Bowl champions right now. They're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. And the Kansas City Chiefs, when they won a year ago, they won for the first time in 50 years, right? Forgot the name of the coach, but I wasn't born then. I wasn't even born then, right? So it was the Tampa Bay Bucs and Tom Brady. Tom Brady winning is what was more important there, because he got his 7th ring, all that stuff. But I can't consider the Chiefs have a dynasty yet, because they have 1 ring. They have 1 ring, so I don't see why you could call these guys a dynasty. Patrick Mahomes is a stud. We get this. Travis Kelce, is a phenomenal person. I love the guy. He's a phenomenal player as well. I think, if not the best tight end in football, one of them. Tyreek Hill is, the fastest. They call him the cheetah for a reason, right? So you think of that, and they have guys on the team. They have weapons on the team. They have Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator. And I like the head coach. I like them, right? But it's not a dynasty yet. To me, it's not a dynasty, and I just can't consider them. If they win more chips in the future, then we can talk about a dynasty. As of right now, I'm gonna straight up say no. Hell no, they don't even have close to a dynasty yet. They have 1 ring. We can't consider them a dynasty. Is Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury the best matchup in combat sports? No, it is not. I'll tell you why. I'm being a little bit biased here, and a lot of people are gonna agree with me on this. The fight we want to see is Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. That is the fight we all want to see. Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Now, I know Errol Spence, he got into that horrific, car crash, and the guy could have died. The guy could have died, right? And, you know, I'm happy he's alive, and he came back and beat Danny Garcia. Looked, you know, amazing. But this is the fight we want to see. We want to see Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence go at each other, and that will be the best match in combat sports. That is what we want to see. Now, I like this Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight. I think Tyson Fury is the best boxer in the heavyweight division. I don't think there's any debating that. And, you know, Anthony Joshua's chin is, you know, a bit questionable, but we'll see if it gets better at this fight. But, you know, it's hard to, really get that chin that strong, especially this late in his career. But I think Tyson Fury is the best boxer in the heavyweight division. But this is not the biggest matchup in combat sports, because we want Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford's on the tear right now. Errol Spence is a phenomenal boxer. We want that fight, and there's no more saying than that. We want Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. Well, that's the fight we want. That will be the biggest fight in combat sports history. That will be a one. That will be the one that we all watch. That's the one that we all are waiting for and have been waiting for. And it should have been announced, to be honest, you know, along with all the other fights that have been announced. You know, the YouTuber boxing match, which I'm not even going to talk about on this podcast, because it's not worth talking about there. But you know, you also have, you know, UFC announcing fights, all that stuff. You have Usman versus Masvidal. You know, Ngannou versus Stipe, all of that stuff. And I think one of the fights that should have been announced was Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Like, that's the fight we want to see. And, you know, I'm being kind of biased here, but a lot of people feel the same way. And that's the fight we want to see. We were waiting for that to be announced. And a lot of people are going to go crazy when that's announced, because we just, you know, we could wait. We could wait, but as long as we know it's announced. If the fight is announced and it's official, we'll wait. We'll wait, because at that point we'll know that it's official. But right now it's not official. They haven't booked the match or anything, and that's what we want to see. Errol Spence looks fine to me. Obviously, you know, he still has to go through, you know, some protocols and all of that stuff, but he looks fine to me. He looked he looked dominant against Danny Garcia, all of that stuff. So that's the fight we want to see, period. Did we overvalue Drew Brees? This is the final question, by the way. Did we overvalue Drew Brees? No. No, we did not. It's completely disrespectful to say that we overvalue Drew Brees, because we didn't. Drew Brees, I know yesterday I said that he's not in top 5, not in top 3, but he's a top 10 quarterback. He was still one of the best. He's second and third in, you know, QBR, all of this stuff, passes attempted, all of these things. Drew Brees is a good quarterback. He's one of the greatest of, you know, he's one of the best quarterbacks. Obviously, like I said yesterday, he's not on the level of Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, all of this stuff, right? But he has a phenomenal legacy, right? We know what he did on and off the field. We did not overvalue Drew Brees, and it's as simple as that. We did not. I heard Ryan Clark on ESPN this morning say that we did, and to me, that's just disrespectful. That's just disrespectful towards Drew Brees and to his legacy, because it's because of what he's done in the football world. We've seen what he's done in the football world, and I don't think we overvalue Drew Brees. It's as simple as that. As simple as that. It's completely disrespectful to say that we overvalued him. But that is going to wrap it up for today. I got done with these questions pretty quick. But some interesting topics like we always have. So yeah, so we had talked about some interesting stuff. No, we didn't overvalue Drew Brees. Like that's just disrespectful to say that we overvalue Drew Brees, because we didn't. So for the ESPN reporters this morning to say that was pretty disrespectful, because Drew Brees has a phenomenal legacy, even though he doesn't have that many rings. Like I said, I'm not putting him on the level of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, all those guys, and Aaron Rodgers even, but we didn't overvalue him. Like, it's disrespectful to say, because Drew Brees, like I said, is second and third. He's second in QBR, behind Tom Brady in passes attempted, all of this stuff, right? He's almost first in everything, right? But the reason that we don't have him up there is because he doesn't have as many rings as these guys. And I know Aaron Rodgers, you know, doesn't have that rings, but I can say that Aaron Rodgers was more talented than Drew Brees. That's why I have him above. I think Aaron Rodgers, from a talent perspective, is the greatest quarterback that we've seen. But I love how I was gonna wrap this up, and I continue talking about Drew Brees, by the way. But I think we didn't overvalue Drew Brees, but he was very talented quarterback, and to say that we overvalued him is disrespectful. I think the disrespect on Drew Brees today, especially, was was terrible. Like, we can't be disrespecting a guy like this. The things that he's given to the football world, we can't be disrespecting him. But now I'm actually gonna wrap it up. Kind of wanted to get to 25 minutes, so I got to there. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Hopefully you guys enjoy the podcast today. I'll be back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my link in bio for my Instagram guys, for my Facebook guys. It's on my feed. Turn post notifications on all 3 platforms so you stay up to date with everything that I post. You can go ahead and follow my TikTok as well. Why not? I'll be back here 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Take it easy, y'all. Stay safe. Have a good one. I'm out.